Northern Uganda. This region has been the arc of conflict between the Lord's Resistance Army and the government of Uganda. The area experienced the impact of war for the last 20 years, revealing only death and misery. At the height of the insurgency, livelihoods were interfered with as settlements were deserted, while daily activities like farming, education, trade and other business were held back. The districts of Gulu, Kitgum, Amuru and Padel formed the axis of vulnerability as well as severe military impact, which visibly left many dead and others maimed. This is a story of giving hope to a people lost on hope, giving life to a people plagued by conflict and a community in near despair. In 2003, World Vision, a non-government organization operating in the area, started a project called Title II Development Activity Program, aimed at uplifting the state of livelihood among the strife-prone communities of Gulu, Kitgum and Amuru.
The first one was a food security project. It was trying to meet the food need of a household. Now, after the success of that project, this one came up to try now to build on the livelihood rather than on the food security, so that the people have come self-sustaining both in food and other needs that's required in a household. So you find this project now is broader than the food security that was intended earlier.
With support from the donor group, the United States Agency for International Development, this project comprised of a long and sustained 5-year program of action aimed at increasing household agricultural production and productivity, improving health and nutrition for targeted women, children and vulnerable groups, intervening in other health areas like HIV/AIDS, immunization, as well as encouraging afforestation. The project was conscious of the need to have the beneficiaries sustain their livelihoods even after it came to an end. It fostered structures like nutrition care groups, growth monitoring volunteers, orphans and vulnerable children, community-owned local drama groups and project committees.
Today we are for the meeting trying to assess each and every parish, because we are collecting reports from each and every parish as to how the people in this parish are going along with their farming.
Aimed at assisting 25,000 households in 3 districts, the project's outreach activities filtered in the community, over the years involving more and more people and creating improved knowledge, attitude and skills in farming, health and nutrition practices.
World Vision has been working in northern Uganda over the last several years, doing several interventions in many sectors like education, health, agriculture, food security, natural resource management. So under the Title II Livelihood Security Development Activity Program, the DAP, World Vision has been working since the year 2004, and this is a 5-year activity funded by the government of the United States of America through USAID.
World Vision employed extension officers who interacted with the target farmers and maintained close supervision of field activities. The officials embarked on teaching relevant information about improved farming practices and knowledge, about improved farming and correcting problems like malnutrition by way of introducing systematic training on correct nutritional habits.
Actually, the situation was quite different from now. Almost 90% of the households, they were depending on the food aid. But when the project came, gradually, slowly, production picked up, and that's how we speak now. There are some farmers, there are some innovative farmers that have been so able, that they have done so good, and their life have changed. They are no longer depending on World Vision. They can get their own seed. They have even changed the means of land opening. They have doubled the acreage. Some, as we speak now, they have moved back to their original locations, because when the project started, most of them, 80% to 90% they were in the camp and they could not access more land. But now people are going back to their original locations.
Under the nutrition care group concept, a community-based approach was used where women volunteers influenced fellow women toward behavioral change in the area of nutrition. Growth monitoring volunteers were trained and equipped with facilities to enable them monitor malnutrition rates in communities and link with the health teams, especially when cases needed to be referred to hospitals. Such is the typical scene in Parabongo IDP camp in Pabo sub-county, Amuro district.
Idaktage iman erwaga chinyo kuman peko latin after tien latin kuman erwaga kuman erwaga latin mot wen imaga latin kuman nene we are beat ni o kwere ipiara bichien meno tian mapoa gwako gi patience palotini engona ni pe yelle totwari imone yor itelo mabe pe miero di en latin pe bene obed ma yenga yani kele mantali ini ke neno mot eni watie itu apiara boro ento no aboro points aboro is 60%.
As a way of addressing the causes of malnutrition, the project encouraged the formation of women groups at entry point. Here, lead mothers were trained and they would in turn train others. With the formation of groups where leaders are chosen from amongst the group members were encouraged to pool resources and open up kitchen gardens, which provided an alternative source of food for the family diet, as well as doubled as demonstration gardens. The project emphasized use of locally available foods to improve on their diet, and in some cases introduced high nutritious foods like the orange flesh sweet potato. The locally produced soya and this potato are a new source of nutritious feeds like cakes, chapati, and milk, which can be consumed by all generations. The husks of soya can also be mixed with greens locally known as boo to provide a balanced diet. The Livelihood Security Project, which was participatory in nature, has addressed many problems amongst farmers and gone to great lengths in making food security a reality. It has helped transform lives in these areas, raising their standards of living and giving hope to a people afflicted by conflict.
We are very optimistic that we have empowered this community to actually tend for themselves. Unlike other emergency programs, this DAP was designed for an emergency conflict setting. So we have been transiting slowly from giving people handouts to actually empowering them to fend for themselves. So over the past years, we have our programs have been fully participatory. We've involved community members, community leaders, and we know that even after we leave, these people can take on with these activities.
Every woman who is trained under this program has a duty to train one more mother in her community, causing a multiplier effect. Not only has this attracted women who showed much more interest, but also men. Evelyn Akumu is one trained mother.
Anya Akumu Evelyn, ati GMV. Chidong bedo ma ana tika no na ki bot World Vision no ma duong. Ma chiel World Vision meo kombeti. Wafunyo mege ki kien gang, gengeyo kien mela konywal. Gengeyo jemi wen lo konywal beru gena ngo. Ki piet ma be, beru gena ngo. Wen funyo ne wen ake bot World Vision. Kombeti wa yubu chak ma chak one one pa wa wela ento wa fora yub one wa no soya World Vision mean wa soya wa per kin gaiwa.
In Kitgum district, The knowledge given by World Vision in nutrition care is well exhibited by the mothers that have formed this nutrition care group. Like many of their fellow farmer groups in this area, they have orphans they look after and HIV-positive mothers who need proper nutritional care. These farmers profess having benefited from the interventions of World Vision that have come in form of training and imparting of information about proper nutritional and health practices. Emphasizing good nutrition without enough food production was looked at as a constraint to the entire program. This called for the introduction of good agronomic practices, and farmers who have taken it on have nothing to regret. They are now able to produce enough for their families and sell the extra for an income.
If you follow agricultural way of planting in rows and weeding in times, you expect about 1 point something.
The program further included up a system of circulating amongst the farmers improved seed varieties by creating progressive seed producers who would be loaned seeds. These progressive seed producers would in turn return part of their produce after yields. They have been central in producing seeds for farmers in the region and in the process of improving their lives.
Okwanyo kech kong ge pajo na Mario okelo lem dong teaching an tich maber tiyo ne gina pier tak mag tiyo maber ene kong machiel gi miya ng'ech kidma miera gwok keri ng'oma eni ki Mario aneno ni gina no mier dok gin mag tiyo maber ene gikelo konyo machiek piyo yot dok bene kodi ma petie gi tuo maduong' kome.
In the 3 project districts, farmers took on vigorous farming following the introduction of this project. There has been a diversification of crop production with emphasis on crops like groundnuts, soya beans, upland rice, millet, and varieties of fruits as well as tubers like cassava. This was after the training given by World Vision. In the last 4 years, the changes have been felt on the ground, and now most of these farmers have high hopes of acquiring machinery to add value on their produce.
No, ngejibol World Vision. Achako no ne mara mukama macha. Kama no tiene kakero na tiene ki medio mukene kuma. Si were ka ki medio mukene tino wati ki kero machana wek no wa yen yo mo wa no machine mo ma ramo. Furu poro eka maduong aya ki merego ne wen pio pero ma no ti rego ne eno. Si ka wati ki machine ma no ki mi ti bodo machalo dulu mem machalo wane ti ade ka ngwena pi. Nyo ma ramo kina pa ti ramo kele machine ma pe.
In a bid to find ease in implementation of the project leaders found it essential to work with other stakeholders in view of the fact that they all aimed at uplifting the livelihood standards of the people. This gave the advantage of working and networking with relevant officials, which meant better results in the community.
We have cooperated in quite a number of things. One, we have cooperated in the area of capacity building, where we have been training farmers together. We have also done a lot of mobilization together. We have carried a lot of monitoring activities, where we go in the field and check on what the farmers are doing.
There is general acceptance that there is improvement in livelihoods here, following the introduction of this project.
The interventions that have been aimed to improve livelihoods have so far been effectively implemented in the various areas of their operations. Those programs have yielded fruits for the fact that they really change the livelihoods trend, and particularly the lives of the households which are really engaged in production of crops, livestock, and other related services in the agriculture.
Farmers here were identified by way of ascertaining if they had the primary means of agricultural production, that is, the land, and if they were willing to undertake the activity. But the general insistence was that group farming and group marketing is encouraged to allow farmers yield more and earn higher income for their produce.
Project works with the farmers groups because the extension effect, the multiplier effect is more than using an individual farmer.
From the camps, farmers are now accessing their land and putting the knowledge gained to practice. A farmer like Joshua Okoth, a retired civil servant, doesn't live a kingly life, and neither does his staff.
It has brought me to a level which I'm proud that I'm almost, not really proud, but I'm a bit above other farmers. I'm a typical example as they see me. Comparing with my age, I don't regret because this is what I am.
The project particularly emphasized model farmers who would relate as perfect examples to other people engaged in the activity. They are the seed that fell on the fertile ground. Although the program targeted beneficiaries who were estimated at 25,000 households, it was not realized in full on the basis of constraints like insecurity and people living in camps. But a larger percentage of the estimates were reached. It was the hope by World Vision that by the end of the project, most of these farmers would have turned to commercial farming, a dream that was not realized.
Second DAP was planned. There were a number of intervening factors that came into operation that were not anticipated, and particularly the mass displacement of some of the target population. So as a result, the DAP did not have the impact that was originally anticipated because the population was not on their land to be able to really exploit fully the objectives of the DAP. Primarily, it was designed to help farmers become engaged in commercial agriculture. It was also designed to help improve the nutritional status of particularly vulnerable groups like children and people living with HIV and AIDS or other vulnerable groups. But the impact of the conflict reduced the area of operation and reduced the overall impact.
In comparison with other projects of the kind, including the Area Development Program that has run much longer, the project leaders feel there has been high performance with results all over the region to show.
I would be confident of 80% of our intended target we have reached.
Kitgum district, the district which seems to have borne the brunt of war most, is just healing from the ravage that came with the conflict. Farmers here formed groups that were facilitated by World Vision to grow foods like cassava, sunflower, groundnuts and rice. Father set up a nursery school supported by World Vision, with a retired teacher as a caregiver for 23 male and female pupils between the ages of 4 and 6.
Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. How many days in a week? The band, tara, 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 tara. The band is coming down the street.
War does not discriminate. Not even the environment was spared. To avoid the negative effects associated with desertification, World Vision put in place demonstration nurseries which have benefited both individual and group farmers. Over 370 treat seedlings were raised and distributed to farmers for woodlot establishment.
Is interested. They got the interest after carrying out an analysis that the farming community, because of the war that had been going on, have destroyed all the vegetation around. And the first aim that we have for this project was to ensure that the farmers start replanting the trees that have been cut down, because we were worried of the weather. It would interfere with the weather, it would bring us desert. Two, we saw that the farmers were left their home and they were about to go home. They needed some fruit trees which they used to have. So we thought of opening a nursery like this so that they would be trained here and they would go to their home and do the same. And our strategy here is that the farmers are trained on all the skills and knowledge. They are given the knowledge and skills of tree planting.
This has not only helped in ecological balance following the afforestation carried out, but has also earned the farmers income from tree sales.
Yeah, I got 1.5 million this season, and I pay even my boy in university with that money. And I'm planning also to buy grinding mill by next year, and I want to build even my house through DC. That's what I'm benefiting from. I got some NGOs like Norwegian Refugees Council. They bring some kids who have just come from the bush to me here to train them, and normally they give me 100,000 per training. Even their teacher, they got training from here. Some of them have come from the school. They know theory, but they know practical. They don't know practical. So even this year, I'm ready to train them.
The benefits of this World Vision project are better sounded by the local district officials in recognition of the importance that the project has come to mean in the lives of the people. These leaders recognize the positive impact and the transformation of livelihoods that has seen better living standards in their communities.
It's one of our development stakeholders, and all in all, we as a local government, we do a bottom-up planning. As 80% are peasant farmers, World Visions, in late 80s, they came with the projects on food security, and it helped our people very much. Until this year, in late August, we came concerned that the project is almost phasing off by October. And we were so unhappy because they have done a lot.
Good things also come to an end, and the livelihood security program is ending after 5 years. But given chance, this project would have gone ahead to provide the necessary technology as people are now returning to their homes.
The program has changed the lives of very many vulnerable people, the poorest of the poor in these marginal communities. The gains made by this project so far, somebody who is coming on, or even World Vision and other partners, the local government and other development partners, could build on that. Most of the farmers we've been working with over the last several years are skillful farmers in terms of knowledge and skills for improved farming. They only need to be supported to build on that and grow to a bigger level.
The fact that World Vision is phasing out the project following the expiry of the tenure of 5 years which it was supposed to last does not undermine its impact on these communities. Project leaders feel they have achieved a high score in terms of the goals for which the project was drawn and implemented, although there were certain constraints that hindered full realization.
They have attained the level we expected them to be, despite the challenges of the insecurity that came in, disrupted the program intervention or implementation, but it improved somewhere late towards the middle of the program lifetime, which enable us to move faster to start working with them and then build our capacity with them.
However, leaders feel the project comes to an end at a time when it was needed most, following the just started process of resettlement, with people going back to their homes in the aftermath of the northern Uganda conflict. This, the leaders insist, would be the most opportune moment for the project to impart more on the larger community with the cessation of war.
We are not able to fill in the gap. If there could be an opportunity for the World Vision to sit together with the donors, they should appeal on our behalf. They should request them to extend the duration for the project. Because during the time when the project was running on, our people were still in the camp. So we expect that since our people are now going back home, their access to the land, we expect some good changes.
I hope as they phase out one program, they take on another program to follow up on our farming community. I know there'll be a big gap. Obviously, has given us a big gap. I would be happy to hear World Vision is giving us another gap also. Yeah?
World Vision leaders, in their view, also realize the need for a follow-up program that is necessary for a community in a phase of reconstruction.
Now we're looking at a scenario where the program is coming to an end at a time when people are resettling. Maybe there are greater opportunities to see how some follow-on programming could help those communities that are resettling. I think the northern Uganda region is really a region that is largely in a reconstruction phase. And I think this is the time when the communities need the type of assistance that was in the DAP program most. So the question, the issue I would raise is, I think for those supporting, who have been supporting this DAP, USAID, the donors, and ourselves as partners, we need to look at opportunities to have some follow-on programming to target those people who are now relocating to their original farmlands.